Hello again. Welcome to the closing bell on the 2nd of August for me on the Friday afternoon with markets down 160 points, the ASX getting smashed we've got inflation figures coming out, FOMC, with interest rates coming off the boil, people getting all bulled up, and then all of a sudden commodities getting smacked all over the place. There's a bit going on, isn't there? And it can be tough to know what to do. So today I want to focus on one thing in particular. The reason being, to outperform over the long term. I mean, you've got to step up every now and again when you've got a bit of confidence in something. And usually it's when you step up during the serious falls that you make the most money. And it can seem counterintuitive. We know how hard it is when things are getting smacked. Everyone's usually running for cover rather than stepping up. But if you have that confidence that the long-term outlook is bullish, it's usually during those bear markets that it's time to just start accumulating. So I really just want to give you that confidence as we move forward with commodities really starting to sell off now. I want to focus on copper. You may have already guessed that because of the fact the long-term copper outlook still fabulous. If we look in the past, the long-term performance of copper has been fabulous and still is in comparison to all the other major metals out there. And that's what I want to show you today, just to give you that confidence that as copper prices sell off now, that's your opportunity to start building for a long-term position. And I'm going to show you an ETF that you can start accumulating so that you've got a spread of, the major copper players around the world. So it's more like a fund. So, if you're looking at moving towards retirement and trying to build up for your SMSF or whatever it is, some sort of long-term stake in something that you believe in and that can help you to outperform over the next, 5, even 10 years if you've got that sort of outlook. This is something to consider. And really, I just want to outline it all for you so that you've got that confidence as things sell off to step up. So let's get stuck into it. We've got quite a bit to do today. This is my 150th episode. It's a bit of a special one for me. Just really thankful to you guys for tuning in, checking out what I'm up to. I really do appreciate that. I've got something for you in the middle. I'll have a chat about that, about what I've put together for you guys so you can understand a bit more about who I am, what my background is, how I go about things, managing risk and trading markets to look for outperformance. So wait for that. But let's have a look at this copper idea. You know that Philo Mining just got taken over by BHP during the week, so we'll have a look at that as well. When these really big players are out there buying out those undeveloped resources and paying top dollar for it, that's the thing you've got to be focused on, not the short-term weakness in the price. So let's jump to the charts and get stuck into what could be a bit of a long one today, but I think it's worth tuning in for the whole thing so that you can get a sense of the opportunity that's on offer. So I want to kick off with this chart, which is just comparing some of the major metals over the last 15 years since the crash back in 07. And what we've got here is copper. We've also got nickel, aluminium, zinc, so your major key commodities out there. And I just want you to get that sense of what the actual performance has been. Since that time, can you see one up 30% in that time? All of the others down 25%, down 56%, down 60%. And in a bear market, near their lows, looking pretty tragic. So when you see something like that, you really got to think about the fact that, yes, copper is currently under a lot of selling pressure, but it is actually incredibly strong long term, still holding up near the all-time highs. You will remember just last month, it actually, in the short term, took out that all-time high and is currently selling off. So the actual fact is the long term for copper is still incredibly strong. And we know going forward, it is absolutely necessary in future facing metals. It is sort of the top of the pops as far as what will be needed as we move forward, as we shift our energy systems, moving more into renewables, etc., etc. Copper is there all of the way. So it is something that you want to be exposed to in the long term. So this current weakness, you've got to be looking at it as an opportunity. The lower it goes, the more confident you should be to have a go. So I just want to show you the really long-term performance of copper. So this is a log chart of copper since 1999. And what that means is the y-axis is just showing you percentage changes rather than just the nominal change. What you're seeing is the distance on the chart is the same percentage move to the upside rather than just looking at the numbers going up steadily. So that gives you a much better sense over the long term of what's really going on. So when you look at that chart, and this is copper, would you say this is looking weak? Or would you say it's actually pretty damn strong? And if copper is a massive outperformer across all metals, and you can see just from this point of view, just a line chart, this all-time high up around this sort of 450, $5 area. When this bear market across the board is over, what do you think copper's going to do? If it's holding at its all-time highs here now, the next bull market should take copper up through what has been a multi-decade high. And you want to be on that. You want to be exposed to what can be coming. And I really do think that you've just got to understand this long-term picture, how strong it actually is, and start looking, saying, well, how far down can it go? Where should we really be stepping up and having a go at this commodity? So this is where we jump into the nitty-gritty and start looking for the areas where you should be getting interested. And as you look at the weakness, you're thinking in the back of your mind, no, this is actually an incredibly strong commodity. And what we want to do is be confident enough to step up during weak periods and position yourself for the recovery. We know interest rates are going to be coming off the boil. Currently, commodities getting hammered, but things can switch quickly. If the Fed all of a sudden starts dropping rates very rapidly because there is a big slowdown happening, which is maybe why commodities are getting belted, everything can turn back up quite rapidly. So this is the monthly chart of copper, again, going back to 1999. And very interesting, first of all, to note the fact that it did create a new all-time high just a few months ago. And yet here we are with copper getting hammered and everyone would be running scared. But you've got to keep in the back of your mind, it's actually making value higher. And it is the only key commodity that is doing so. So if, we're just moving along to what's been going on this last few years, to really zero in on copper right now. And you can see we've got that big wave after the 2020. Sorry, I've just completely stuffed that up, haven't I? Let me fix that again. So we have the wave up from 2020 up into 2022 in copper. Huge run. And that is the major wave now that I'm really looking at. And you can see the correction. We've already had one correction a few years ago. going back to the midpoint again, that point of control. But then managing to hold in there, unlike other metals, this is where the strength of copper comes in. It's actually managed to hold and start a new uptrend from that point, where you can see prices rallying, correcting, rallying again, correcting at the moment. So how we can look at this is to say, well, it's actually in a bullish move at the moment. It's just taken out the all-time high. So if this current bullish move actually is going to continue, and we have faith in that, you're actually looking at these corrections in the short term. And the first point where I'd be starting to uh, step up and get bullish would be looking at the individual waves and the buy and sell zones of those. So this is how the market is. It is self-similar, I guess. The more you zoom in, you're still seeing the same thing happening again and again, and you can still understand it using this process. So you've got this wave, which happened in July 22 to July 23, then the correction. Now look at how this correction came back. Look where it came back to, so close to that buy zone area, didn't it? Before the buying stepped in, it actually held above there for months and months and months before the next wave to the upside. So that's why I'd be looking at this wave that's happening right now and say, well, if I'm a bull, I'm looking at this last wave to the upside and saying, well, it's in long-term uptrend. As you can see, it has shifted into long-term uptrend. It's now selling off down into what would be a buy zone area of that wave. So if copper really is as strong as we think it can sell off down into that area and should find buying support again before heading up to possibly attempt a breakout above that all-time high, up above $5. Let's say it even breaks below 350. I can tell you I would be absolutely stepping up, all guns blazing, closing my eyes and just buying all I could down in that area. I don't think it's going to get there. That's why I'll be buying on the back foot as it falls, because I really don't think it's going to be weak enough to fall from what, $4 at the moment all the way to 260, even though for the past few years with other metals getting absolutely hammered, it's managed to hold at the point of control around this 350 area. So I think the chance of copper falling below, that previous wave low, which is also at that midpoint, the 350 a pound on copper, I think the chance of it really failing below there is very minimal. But if it does, there is a major, major support level below there where you would just be backing up the truck and buying all you could. Just very quickly, just to show you the chart, this is the Philo Corp that BHP just took over. Why is the biggest mining company in the world paying a big price for a company that's already run like anything for the last few years with a great copper project, it must be said, huge. But this is the reality of what's going on. Those big guys want to get set. They want these projects, and they will pay top dollar for it to get set for what's coming in future. So that's what should be giving you the confidence to really go after this opportunity, the weaker copper gets. And I want to show you an ETF that will, I think, be the one to sort of load up on as copper gets weaker. But before we get stuck into having a look at the ETF that you should be grabbing, I just want to let you know, I've put together a document for you guys. Anyone who has been watching these closing bells over, a period of time, hopefully you've got a sense of how I go about things. But I don't just throw out ideas all the time, willy-nilly, like so many commentators do. I don't try to act like I know more than I do. I just give you a sense of what the market's up to, where the probabilities are, and every now and again I will chuck something out that I think is interesting, whether it be the iron ore, the gold. I have shown you a few stocks. Hopefully you've seen that over the last few months, but you may not really know much about me or my history, how I've developed the model I use, how I actually manage risk, how I go about things with people in my service, retirement trader. So I just wanted to put together a document that you could read so you could actually learn all about that. Learn about my risk management process, exactly how it works, why I do it, where the levels are, how I look for the mean reversion. What are these false breakouts? Why do they happen? I really want to dig down for you so that you can understand it clearly. So really, it's just if you have been enjoying these closing bells, it's the 150th one today. So I wanted to put this together for you. Please, there should be a link you can see in the video. I would love it if you could read it. I did actually write the whole thing. So, sometimes you can be skeptical of that, right? But you'll see as you read it that it is written by me, covering off everything. So it's quite a long document to read because there is a lot of information, right? If you're going to be putting your money at risk in the markets, you want to know that the person you're backing actually knows what they're doing. So I want to just really set things out for you clearly so you can understand what it is I actually do at the moment, what my real job is, I guess, my day job. So please check that out. And otherwise, let's move on to the ETF that I reckon you should start loading up on the lower copper goes. So this is the ETF that I wanted to show you guys that I think as copper gets hit, you've got to be starting to accumulate into the weakness. And this is WIRE is the code. It's a copper ETF that covers off, a lot of the major copper miners, producers, explorers, etc., around the world. So it's going to be a good diversified thing that you can put some money into long term if you believe in the story and want to get set and can leave some money there for a while. This is, I think, the one to accumulate on weakness. And just to cover off, you can see that it's had a major breakout recently. It was, stuck in the range there for a few years. The ETF's only been around for a few years. But you can see, bouncing around between 10 and 12 bucks. And, that big rally that we saw at the start of this year, I mean, look at the move that copper ETF had, going from 10 bucks up to 16. And look, I was looking at it saying, oh God, have I missed out on it? I want to get set. And of course, corrections always come along if you're patient enough. People who were chasing it higher up here, they're always the people who are dumping it in a panic down here. That's just how markets work. And if we look at that major wave and have a think about, where do I believe in this? Where do I want to have a crack? This is where I was saying to you, you're looking at that major wave and you're saying, right, the midpoint is a spot where it could find support and bounce, but fails through that midpoint. That can be when it gets a bit scary and people start to panic a bit and can actually accelerate. And big picture, as I was showing you with the copper price itself, down around that buy zone would be a spot where I would be saying you want to step up. And you can see there's been a lot of support around that area for years and years. So, will be major support down there. So it's at 1276 at the moment. It could be there in a few weeks. So anything I think below 12 bucks, you can see here $11 to $11.50 being that buy zone area. If you see that ETF heading down into that zone, I think why not just start picking up a few as you go along? Maybe you're waiting for signs of things turning around, and this is what I go into in that document I've put together for you. It's basically covering off, 6 lessons that I've learned over my, decades trading markets of where I believe the opportunities are, how to get into things to create free call options, that sort of thing. So, if you want to learn about those lessons, please go and check out that document to get a deeper understanding of how I really do go about things. But that is how I would look at this today is don't get frightened by this weakness. Be looking at this as an opportunity. You're seeing this ETF heading below 12 bucks. I'd be getting pretty happy to start stepping up and grabbing a few for the bottom draw. Okay, well, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed that on this 150th episode of Closing Bell. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have watched a few of those over the last however many years I've been doing them, whether you've been around for a while or a short term, I hope you're getting something out of these videos and you're getting a sense of how I analyze markets and look for opportunities. But if you want to learn more, please click on that link and check out the document I've written. It's just 6 lessons of what I've really learned over my trading career. They're things you can only pick up through bitter experience, really. So I'd love you to check that out, learn a bit about what I'm about and what I really do get up to for members of my trading services. All right, cheers. Well, I shall come back with more next week.